Good morning, everyone. Here is today's news podcast from the Hindu and the Indian Express. First news was the inhalation of the toxic gas in Ludhiana. It is important from the prelims perspective. We need to know which gas was released. It was hydrogen sulfide, the industries from which it was released, and we also need to look the such past incidents, and major one of them is the Bhopal gas tragedy. So please relate with it and go through it. We can also look for the responses, which is the nodal organization which responds first. So in the news article it's given, it is the NDRF. So try to relate with it the past incidents of Bhopal gas tragedy. Second important article in Indian Express was the Partners in Prosperity. It's about the pact between India and EFTA states to boost the trade and investment. It's important both from the prelims perspective as well as from the mains perspective. In prelims, it can be asked that which all are the members of European Free Trade Association, which is known as EFTA. So EFTA is a regional bloc in Europe which consists of the 4 countries. One is the Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway and Switzerland. So these 4 countries are negotiating a free trade agreement with India. The name of the free trade agreement is known as Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, TIPA. And why this is important from the India perspective, this can be asked in the mains. So there are mainly 4 reasons it has listed that why it is important from India. One is that these countries have mastered in green technology, and India is also looking for a transition towards the green growth. So it can contribute towards India's green growth journey by transferring the green technologies, knowledge transfer, facilitating the R&D innovation, and encouraging the business collaboration. The second point is that these countries have been the major investment hub in India. These countries have contributed more than 35 billion in India, so it's important from the investment perspective also. The next is that India has provided the highly skilled workforce, and they work on for these countries, so it's an opportunity for the Indian labor to work for these countries. If we are able to negotiate, then we will be able to tap the new market and the broader market of the labor into these countries. So it is important from these perspective for India as well as for these countries. Coming to the next article is about the treading a new path on one that prioritizes the social justice. It is about the labor social justice. Today is the May 1st, which is known as the Labor Day. So basically this article talks about that the real wages of the labor have fallen, poverty is rising, inequality seems to be entrenched than ever. So what we should do in that context? So he talks about that we should ensure the decent work for all, which is also happens to be one of the Sustainable Development Goal 8. So how we are going to ensure the decent work for all? So this article tries to give some suggestions on long-term structural transformation in the present time and how we can do that. That basically we need to create the new technology that supports the employment, proactively facing the challenges of climate change and ensuring we offer the jobs. We need to focus on skill training. We need to focus on the transition support necessary, because with time, as the technology is arriving, the nature of the business is changing. We need to support the action on skills, migration and social protection. So basically this article says that we need to take a pro-labor stand and we need to look into the picture. So for that, what we need to do is that we need to strengthen our labor institutions and organizations, and we need to have a social dialogue which is, effective and vigorous. And also at a global level, he asked for a global coalition for social justice, where all the major countries, where all the major stakeholders, major organizations come together to ensure the labor social justice. Then there was this small news about the conman Sherapuria YREF. So basically in this article, the 2 things are important. One is that it explains the company's limited by guarantee. So this is an additional information from my side that broadly the companies are of two types when it comes to the liability. One is limited by the shares and another is limited by the guarantee. Now what is a company limited by the guarantee? Company limited by the guarantee means that in case an liability arises on the company, then it will be to the extent that the shareholders have agreed to guarantee in the memorandum of understanding. For example, say that I am going to open a company, and in a memorandum I write that in case a liability arises, then 100 rupees I will pay. So my liability is limited up to 100 rupees. So that is limited by guarantee. In case of limited by shares means that a person or the shareholder is limited only to that amount which is unpaid on the shares. For example, if there is a share of 100 rupees, I have paid 50 rupees, I have not paid 50 rupees. So my liability will only be limited to the 50 rupees which I have not paid. So this can be asked in the prelims, the difference between the limited by guarantee and limited by shares. Now there's this one news related to Haryana. It's important from the mains perspective because it relates with the policy decision. Policy decision that last year that Haryana reserved the jobs for the locals, and now we can see the impact of it. Now the impact is that the heading says that happening Haryana slips as investment drops amid worries over law reserving jobs for locals. So happening Haryana is a summit to attract the investors, but because of the reservation of the jobs for the locations, investors are not showing the good sentiments or pro sentiments towards industrialization. So this can be used as an impact of the policy in the mains. So these were the important things from the Hindu and Indian Express for today. Thank you. Have a good day.